Gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Market Buzz. We're gonna bring you the GDP comes in hotter than expected. I just received the news.
Oh,
3.3 expected as 3.1.
oh, okay.
Oh, that's good for rates to come down. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
might be
Because
bullish.
if it's too high, we're likely to see them. Why would we have to come down if everything is dandy?
How do you think the markets are going to react?
All right. Yeah, market likes that though. The rest of the market is
Mm,
bouncing. All right, my peeps. The markets have been rallying, and the rally continues to rally. NVDA had earnings yesterday. We had a little bit of a correction, both in the crypto markets and the real markets last week, and crypto continued this week a little bit. So I would definitely want to hear what the crypto market forecast from you guys is going to be and what you're doing with your portfolios for sure. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you want to get the news as fast as possible on Etoro. We are three popular investors. You can see our stats, you can see our returns, and you can see what we're holding down in the link below. So make sure you click them and use this as a reference point. And if you like to outcopy us, it's not guaranteed returns, but you have the possibility within eToro. So welcome Mimi, welcome Timothy, and myself, Nestor Mendoza. And we are gonna be talking about markets today. There is a couple of things I want to share with you guys for sure, because we
mm,
do feel a little bit toppy in this market. Nvidia had earnings yesterday, beat expectations, and the market did not like a miss of millions of dollars, and that created panic in the stock for the initial 20, 30 minutes.
mm-hmm.
It was insane, right? That was the big event of this week. We also have PCE data as well. We have inflation data, and we just had GDP, which comes in better than expected. And the American dream continues to be full steam ahead, apparently. you know. But the question is, can we really trust that data? The S&P 500 is sitting at all-time highs. The Nasdaq is sitting at all-time highs. It's a beautiful time to be an investor. That's why time in the market beats timing the market. But sometimes, taking money off the table is not a bad thing either. All right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So, Mimi, it's been a while since you've been with
Yes,
us. So I want to get your
yes.
perspective on the crypto markets. What is happening, right? We saw Bitcoin touch 124. I think that was the
Mm-hmm.
all-time high, and then now we're seeing sort of a pullback on that.
Yeah, we're still going through a correction, and I'm still of the view that any mini rallies that we get are really just relief rallies. I mean, like Timothy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do see a little bit more downside for the market overall, so Bitcoin and crypto. A little bit of a rotation between Bitcoin and Ethereum has been happening, just like back and forth, back and forth. And that's why we're probably seeing Bitcoin dominance ticking up a little bit, and then Ethereum takes over. So there's going to be a bit of a dance between them while this correction is playing out until the very uh, you know uh, the alt season that we've been waiting for. That's where I'm at the moment as a whole.
Okay.
But
So
there's still some volatility to come, in my opinion.
okay. So do you think the volatility will be to the downside? So like, are you bearish short term or are you bullish?
I am bearish short term. I
Okay.
am bearish short term. So what I've been doing is that I'm stacking a bit of cash reserve, taking a little bit of profit off the table during the relief rallies until we see what happens in September, because I still have that view as well that the rate cuts possibly is a buy the rumor, sell the event type of event. Um, Powell spoke, and he insinuated that somewhat, there'll be a rate cut, and then the
Yeah.
market rallied, and then we saw a further correction after that. So there's a lot of views at the moment in terms of how low will Bitcoin go, how low will crypto go, altcoins go, and I'd love to hear what Timothy thinks about that,
Yeah.
because
Well,
I'd love
Timothy
to pick
hit
his
the
brain.
nail in the head when he mentioned the Ethereum trade, right? I'm still in that trade. I did
Which one's
hear
that?
some rumors that Timothy might be selling some of his positions, so that's going to be very interesting to kind of hear.
Mm.
I was actually trying to find your
Portfolio.
portfolio, but the dashboard of Etoro has changed. So when I look for Mimi, it's saying we can't find Mimi anymore. We don't
No.
offer Mimi.
I
When I
got
tried
kicked out.
Terra Trade,
That's okay. Make sure you click the links
you-
below because they're there. Well, they're not there actually. They're not there. I didn't change them. Dang.
yeah. So
No, so
yeah,
it's
let's get back to crypto. So I'm also in the opinion that crypto still has some downside potential, and yeah, I wanna share my screen, just show the chart again. So what I'm watching basically is the 30-week cycle. So I've been trading cycles for a couple of years, and the 30-week cycle within the 4-year cycle, the last one started in April. And so we're now around 20 weeks in. So give or take 30 weeks is around November is where we can expect the next major low. So I would say Bitcoin is likely to drop a bit more lower into that November low, which at the end of each cycle is usually very yeah, bearish. Like you can have big swings down, big swing down. And I'm targeting, yeah, let's say 100K. I have some buy orders there. And then if you look at the 50-week moving average, so I don't have my, here is the 50-week moving average on the weekly chart, sits around 95K. So that's also potential target. Not saying we will get there, but that's where I definitely will be buying. And I've already been buying here at around 112, 110 even. So I'm a buyer for Bitcoin right now. Now, in terms of, yeah, where is the market heading? Which one is going to outperform? I would say if Bitcoin is continuing down, we could see some money flowing back into Bitcoin, dominance to rise a bit. But that would be like September, mid October, and I would expect the yeah, Ethereum to gain more attention again, and altcoins especially going into the end of the year. So yeah, in the short term might be more bearish for altcoins, but I think if you're a long term holder, these things don't really matter much. So yeah, position yourself and don't get shaken out. That's what I would say.
yeah.
No.
I think it's quite scary for everyone to think Bitcoin heading towards 95K, right? And so look, I've heard of whispers of that as well. And because there's a CME gap in that area, there's also liquidity pockets. So you've got liquidity pockets in around 105, 107, as low as 103. And then the next one, the major one, is around about that 95K level. And so I think one thing to take into consideration for everyone is, firstly, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know exactly where price will head. But if Bitcoin does fall and Bitcoin dominance doesn't rise too much, then altcoins won't retrace as much. So I think that's what's scary for especially altcoin holders, that if we see Bitcoin plummet to, the 90K levels, which is still okay if it does. I don't really think it will, but it's a possibility. Then, don't stress too much about altcoins. And like Timothy said, buy the dip, DCA, and if you're a long-term holder, it's fine.
Yeah, right now
Yeah,
I find that there will be a lot of opportunities starting to arise, both in the crypto sector, like in the crypto market, and in the stock market as well. Like there
Yeah,
for a while, there was so many opportunities around, right? Companies that just didn't rally because everybody's looking at just one particular thing. Like looking at
yeah,
NVIDIA earnings yesterday, interestingly enough, the big winner yesterday was Snow, right? A company was up almost 20% on the after hours because people are just not paying attention to companies like that, right? So when everybody's looking somewhere, if you're able to find value somewhere else, you're able to catch the upside, right? That was one of the benefits of entering NVIDIA before this rally that we've seen, right? Like NVIDIA was a company that was like innovating in the computer space, in the data center space, now everybody knows about it, right? So even if we have amazing earnings, right, like we had a beat on earnings per share, we had a beat on revenue, and we had a beat on guidance, the stock even like initially sells off because people are just like looking to get out, right? Like there's traders, there's momentum traders, there is investors that don't like the stock at these levels, so market dynamics can change drastically too,
Mm.
right? And in this case, I think that that's what we're seeing a little bit, right? Like you're just seeing sort of like Bitcoin at 124 is massive. It's a massive move, right? Given the fact that the start of the year, what was the low that we touched on the April lows for Bitcoin?
75K, give or take, 75K.
So from the lows, we're almost sitting at 100% returns, right? And
Yeah.
Bitcoin is already a little bit more mature in this case, right? But even Ethereum, what's the return on Ethereum in this case, Timothy? But have a look at it, right? Like from the lows, it's like what,
Was it
2x,
1800 or
13?
1300?
Yeah,
1300.
right. So why are people freaking out when we're seeing rallies like this, right? Like obviously, like many people are paying attention to the stock market whenever the highs are in because they're like, oh, I can make a quick 5% really quickly, but that comes with downside risk, right? And I think the risks right now are just to the downside. Would they continue through the end of the year? I don't think so. I'm still bullish on the end of the year, but short term, I'm still sort of like hedging and making sure that my positions retain some of its value, you know?
I did get some questions on whether this cycle is stopped or not. And yeah, when you look at the cycle view, bull market, bear market, you're seeing we're close to that typical end of the bull market for crypto, but there is a slight difference comparing with the other cycles where you had more like a parabolic move. You can see this like a very steep rise in price. Same over here. You see the price of Bitcoin going very, very steep in a short period of time, which is very unsustainable, and then you'll get that blow off top. But right now we haven't seen that. Yeah, you've seen some stair step pattern where it breaks out to the upside and then comes for a retest, breaks out again, comes for a retest, and now we're seeing the same. It breaks out and comes for a retest. So as we don't see that parabolic rise, I don't think we should be afraid of a real blow off top here,
Mm.
and that maybe the price rise of Bitcoin is more sustainable and can be longer than it usually is for a typical 4-year cycle. Now, remember here where people were saying the same, so I don't want to be like very naive that this time will be different, but it's definitely something I'm watching, and of course, if the trend changes and we'll see Bitcoin have multiple closes below the 50 weekly moving average, for me, that's a sign to step back and take some positions off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me show you a couple of data points that I've been finding interesting, sort of like as I'm doing my research, because I'm kind of like I'm trying to figure out why we're so frothy at these levels.
Mm.
And obviously like PEs and all that stuff, it's very hard to sort of use PE ratios to understand a growth story. But a lot of PE ratios in not growth companies are extremely high, right? Like companies like Walmart, Costco, Philip Morris, right? Usually defensive stocks, but because we've seen sort of like that defensive move every single time the Mag 7 finds some sort of weakness, we see that sort of PE ratio sort of like be increased. So P's are high. I'll show that in the end, but I want to show first thing I want to show you guys is kind of like understanding margin debt right now. I think we just hit like a record for the first time ever in terms of margin debt that's in the markets right now. Let me show you my screen. Right, so here you're able to see. So the chart here is just the FINRA, like the FINRA margin debt, right? And interestingly enough, we're sitting at $1 trillion worth of margin being activated in markets, right? Obviously, like this number is not like a comparison apples to apples, just people having margin in their trading accounts, but it tells you that there's a lot of frothiness in the market, right? Because usually whenever we see a massive drop, we see these levels starting to come down, but we just see this continue to climb and climb and climb, right? Another interesting point was like, it's this number right here, and it's like this is like the no wait, this is the S&P divided by, so this is FINRA margin divided by the currency in circulation, and we are sitting sort of at very interesting peaks, right? So it's not like a guaranteed. It's just data that sort of like it's telling me that there's a lot of frothiness and a lot of we are just accepting the fact that this is a bull market, and I'm bullish on the market. But can we get complacent in a market like this? Yes, we can, right? See, this is another one that I like to look at very often, and it's the put to call ratio, right? So this is the derivatives market, right? It's the options market. It's usually traded like leverage like 100 to 1, right? And it's interesting because whenever the blue line is in the highs, right, we tend to be very bearish. The puts tend to be higher, and then right now we are sitting towards where the calls, like the calls are higher, right? So we are bullish right now. But whenever we are at low levels, or at like historically in the last couple of years, we are sitting at low levels. This could potentially mean a peak, right? So anything right now, the market seems to be a little bit finicky when it comes to news, and it's just expecting the worst news to come in every single time, and that's why we're seeing that massive volatility. It comes with the Trump factor, but it also comes with the idea that I had a friend that said this, and I want to share it. It's like we are just too happy in this market right now. We are looking for a reason to be upset, right? With Jackson Hole and Powell last week, the market was expecting him to come into a crusade when his job has never been that. His job has been, I'm going to try to do the best for the American economy based on the knowledge that I have. Simple. I have two mandates: maximum employment and price stability. And that's it. Every single decision he has made is based on to those parameters. But people are politicizing the idea that he can actually come in and be like, I'm going to fight Trump and the Fed will remain. That's not his job, right? He doesn't want any politics. But yeah, right. We're looking for a reason, right? We're very bullish. There's a lot of money already being deployed. For a long time, I think hedge funds missed this rally. People are calling this the most hated rally ever because the big money and the smart money was not in it. We dropped so fast and we're bouncing so fast off the lows that many people were not able to get in, right? So many people are hating this rally and trying to find an excuse to drop it down. But the reality is, hey, it continues to pump, right? So valuations are getting a little bit stretched for my liking. I'm paying attention to this, and I'm finding opportunities to get in, to get out of the market. Another thing that I'm paying attention to is the credit spreads, right? The bond market in America is an interesting one because it's the biggest market in the world in terms of like where assets go. And here we're seeing that like junk bonds are the lowest they have been for quite a while, right? Since 2022. So this tells me that it's like a lot of people are expecting the Fed to cut rates because something might be coming, right? But if something is coming, the spreads should actually start rising. So whenever we see this sort of divide, whenever we see those credit spreads rising, it could signal that we are entering a recession time period, or potentially something could happen in the economy that could break. But I also read a statistic that says that right now bankruptcies are higher than the 2022's um, bankruptcies that we had during COVID. So something to pay attention. That like there is frothiness in the market. There's a lot of euphoria also. We saw that with NVIDIA earnings yesterday.
Yeah.
Expectations are just way too high. NVIDIA had 46, like what was the return yesterday? $46.7 trillion of revenue, and the market found that to be bad. You know what I mean? And it's like we're expecting 53, not including China, which could be an additional 2 to 5. That's a $55 billion quarter, and the market sells off into Nvidia just because the idea that people are just too euphoric about the positions that we're holding right now. So be careful. There's going to be a lot of volatility in a market like this. We're extremely like market is extremely bullish. Could we continue to be bullish for a while? Yes, we can, but volatility is expected. So make sure, like Timothy says, don't get shaken out if you truly believe in a stock that you're holding, and make sure you do your own research, right? It's what I'm trying to say. All right, let me ask you guys, what are you guys paying attention to this week? I have two stocks I want to talk about. But Mimi, Timothy, what are you paying attention to?
Um, Nothing very specifically, because I'm just paying attention to where is crypto heading next. And honestly, I'm watching Bitcoin. I'm watching the indicators. I'm watching Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum dominance, stablecoin dominance. I think it's more a case of how low will this correction go before the big bounce up, and then this cycle's version of alt season. So I don't have anything that really stands out right now, but I know there's a lot of development. There's so many partnerships happening. I mean, look what happened to Crow, and is still happening to Kronos. It's it's like the train that just won't end. And I mean, it's up nearly 40% or more again today, and in a week it's up 150%. 150%. So it just gives you an idea of, look, it's moving. It's a utility token that's moving like a meme coin, but it's not a meme coin. And so it gives you that's why there's such high expectations in crypto, and why people get really upset when there's a bit of a 10%, 15% pullback. Like, why are we not going to the moon right now? But like you said, with Ethereum, look how far it's come from 1300 to 4800. Put in a new all-time high. So there's a lot of development happening. I'm incredibly bullish when it comes to crypto. It's just that let's just get through these next couple of weeks, or September, or whatever it is. Get through the correction. That's really it.
Nice. Timothy, what about you? Whoa, we cannot hear you. I think you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. I was muted because the dog keeps barking.
You
But
did a good job. I didn't hear it. Yeah.
I've been basically buying Bitcoin with my Ethereum profits, because I bought Ethereum at near the bottom, basically from the Ethereum Bitcoin reversal. And ever since it went up, I've been slowly scaling out in cash. And then when Bitcoin dipped, I bought at each level I wanted to buy. And now I'm still trying to buy more Bitcoin, because as I said, September could be shaky. So that means you need to have some cash for either Bitcoin or those altcoins that are strong. It's nice to see Crow finally moving, because it started to be like XRP in the past, not really moving a lot, and now suddenly it does. So nice to see that. But for altcoins, I'm mainly watching the majors like XRP, Tron, Solana, BNB. They are really strong right now, stronger than the most smaller altcoins. Not really seeing anything happening in the meme coin space. But yeah, if Solana really breaks out, I think meme coins can have a second meme season. So do watch that. I still hold some Pengu. Maybe I could share the screen for the level for me where I'm gonna cut, because I don't want to be a bag holder. And I know a lot of people are holding Pengu as well. So this is the Pengu chart. I will try take from Binance the spot. Yeah. So Pengu is right at the level I'm watching for selling here. I think if it breaks down here, we'll see a lot of downside pressure, because there's not a lot of price history in between these blocks here. So we might drop all the way to 0.15 here. So that's what I'm cautious for Pengu. Of course, if you think Pengu is gonna do well in the next bull phase, then this dip, it will likely be some kind of V-shaped recovery. But yeah, for my portfolio, I try to minimize that risk. And for the rest,
So
I did a lot. Yeah, Mimi, what did you want to say?
no, you go. You go.
Yeah, I just want to say that since the earnings are out for most of the tech AI stocks, I've had to increase my calculated value for each of them. So that makes some of the top tech stocks like Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon, they're back near valuation, even undervalued. So meaning their price rise remain sustainable, so I'm also looking at some of these plays to buy during the next dip.
Okay.
Yeah, just a really quickly on Pengu, because when I mentioned Pengu the first time and I said it's going to break out and then I didn't buy, I think it's at that phase again where it's going to have a really explosive upward. Now, this is not financial advice,
Where can I buy Pengu? Where can I buy Pengu? This is no financial advice, but where can I buy Pengu? I'm gonna buy some Pengu, because I don't know. It looked like a cup and handle, and sometimes I like to play the tea leaves.
it's doing it again. It's doing it again. So what it did that first time when I mentioned, it's doing it again. And look, wait for the correction to happen. I mean, everything is going to, correct at the same time, some more than others. But Pengu, I don't actually see it going below 0.02, wherever it's 2 cents. But I'm buying any time that it dips it dips below that 0.03, below 3 cents. I think it's at 3 cents right now. So it will do very well. That's just my opinion. In terms of meme coins, I mean, I'm not a big meme coin type investor, but Pengu is going to do really well. It's got a lot of strength, a lot of community, and I mean, it's getting its own ETF, or it has. I haven't looked into that, but that's Pengu's on my watch list for sure. And then in terms of other watch, I'm going back to the original tokens, which is like Cardano. Anything that hasn't moved a lot. Look at what hasn't really done a whole lot for a while. That's the
Sometimes
focus.
boring. Sometimes boring finds popularity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So as long as it continues to do good and it continues to develop and analyze, it could have this euphoria moment where all of the eyes go right, where the momentum starts shifting. So
Look what happened to Kronos. It was
yeah,
boring for a very long time.
man, CRO. I remember I bought CRO whenever I got their card. Like they used to make you put like an X amount of money for a card, and you got like cashback perks. And this was when the cashback was like the best you could get ever, and all of these different things. And I've held that
Mm,
for so long. It's absurd.
yeah.
And you
I don't
still
believe.
hold it?
I don't believe in it. Yeah, I'm still holding it because I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't make my money back, right? It's okay. But I was like, whatever. I'll just hold it and leave it. So maybe it's an interesting time for me to say. I don't know. Like the thing is just like, for example, like there are a couple of projects that you guys like that I've just had like they haven't done anything for me. Like Tron. Like for me, I've always seen it at the same price, and it's just done nothing. But
So
then I start paying attention, and then this one it starts doing
show you
things,
the
right? So
short.
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
show you some.
But here, let me show you. Let me show you something. I want to show you guys something very interesting here. Now that we are in the rumor mill, right? I'm
Mm.
gonna share my screen real quick. Two things. First of all, I'm gonna show you. So this has been like the 1 month performance of the stock market right now, and it's interesting because sometimes even the euphoria names, right? Like Nvidia is holding off, right? Like the month it hasn't done anything in a month, but companies like Google, Meta, Tesla, Home Depot, Apple, the big laggers, even Bank of America, right, have seen some sort of like interest, right? And we've seen sort of like where the winners have been, and we're seeing that sort of migration. So sometimes, like the market likes to diversify, right? Big investors like to diversify, and they'll drive the market towards other names and other companies that are doing really well, right? Because when you go from 90 to 180, that's 100% returns. And then if you sell 50% of your position, you're playing with the casino's money at that point, right? So something to pay attention to. It's like sometimes there is value in Hertz names, and sometimes there is value in other companies that maybe are not going through their best times. But hey, here, like for example, UNH 15% in the last
Mm.
month, right? Which is like Nvidia we were supposed to be hitting 200 today. My end of year target is expected to be 180. So right now I think we are overvalued. Can we grow into that? Possibly, but it's going to take a little bit of time for us to grow into that, because now we're just not seeing the 200 or 300%, because the law of large numbers, the numbers continue to be big, but the percentages are less and less, right? So the Nvidia story continues. Even Intel is up 23% from the lows. You know what I mean? In the last month. So there's been opportunities outside of whatever was winning before. So something to pay attention and something to keep in mind too. And another thing I wanted to show you guys was just like PE ratios worldwide. America's now sitting at the top, with India coming down a little bit, which is good. Something to pay attention to, because at levels like this is when the market gets a little bit scared too, because not everything is growth, right? So the PE can tell you something in relation to everything else. But if India ever gets to a point where it's the same valuation as the United States by the US, I've lived in India, and I can tell you that the Americans have figured it out better. They have a better system than the
Mm.
Indians. The Indians are fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's still a lot of messiness. I'm dealing with an Indian company here in the UK, Kingfisher, and you can it's that attention to detail that you don't have to deal with companies like Amazon, companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft. That is like with Kingfisher, I've like just minimum like mistakes and mistakes and mistakes that happen that have a repercussion when it comes to earnings, when it comes to revenues too. So something to pay attention to. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to talk about?
No.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you my picks. I didn't say my picks.
Yeah.
There's two companies I'm paying attention to. Google.
Ooh.
Google right now in the next week or 2 weeks could have a move of 10%, but either to the upside or the downside. They get the lawsuit results on Chrome, hopefully by the 31st of August. So that's something to be paying attention to. I'm playing the upside on that. I don't think that we're gonna get Google to sell Chrome. I don't see that
Mm.
happening in my scenario. That's like a 10% chance of that happening. Um, Something to pay attention to because I think this could potentially rally the stock, and because it's been a weight on the stock for a while now. And after we saw today, Mimi, like with the VO and all of that
Mm.
stuff, all of the AI tools that they have on the back end is nuts. And
So
then
so buy Google.
like I think Google is a buy. I've been saying it for a while now, but I think Google is
Every
a
time you say
massive buy
buy,
right
I
now.
buy. Every
You
time you say
know,
buy, I buy. It's doing
like
well. My positions are doing well.
yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
telling you, and the thing is just like it has had the DOJ on top of it for a while. We could see a move like the XRP move, where it's just like obviously not to the magnitude, but to the effect of just the upside, just because we have that of our chest, right? And then the other one that I'm paying attention to, which I'm starting my analysis on, if anybody has any analysis on this, I will take it. I would gladly listen to it. It's Alibaba is having earnings on Friday. And I
Mm.
think that Alibaba is the cloud space of China, right? So they are the competition of the big Max 7 companies here in the US. So I'm thinking that they're gonna compete. And after listening to Jensen and hearing that 50% of AI innovators are in China, it gives me a lot of hope that there's a lot of them in Alibaba creating and actually developing amazing tools for the Chinese market. You know, if
Mm.
Alibaba was abroad, it would be worth a lot more. You know, we wouldn't have that sort
That's
of.
why I don't invest in Alibaba because it's abroad, and
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been holding Alibaba for a while. Now I've sold, but I've been holding it for a while. But ever since the government started to make up their own rules on tech stocks,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that makes me uncertain as an investor, and that's also why you don't see Alibaba make moves like NVDA or
Correct.
Google. The It's not the
Yeah.
same.
I mean, look at the look at the historical PE average, like a PE like PE ratios for China, right? Like China, like January 2024 was sitting at 7.9. Right now, we're seeing like a little bit of like increased interest in China again. Now that we're going off the tariffs and everything's starting to come off, there's a little bit more clarity, but this could potentially pump up again, right? So I think it's an interesting point. PE ratios at these levels could be buying opportunities. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Could be buying. I'm not saying Alibaba is, but it's like China tends to get punished,
It's
right?
gonna be a trade. It's gonna be a trade because you see the spikes it's making. It doesn't stay up there for a long time.
Correct. So it's a trade. You got to get in and get out, right? But I do think Alibaba is doing well, right? So it's like that's also I like the company. I've held them for a
Great
while. They have
company.
done nothing, but we never know, right? So I'm looking to pay attention to this. I know that Christia is like talking about it. Like he likes
Yeah.
Alibaba a
All the
lot.
time.
Yeah. I want to get him in the podcast too, hopefully, and like I want to get the power couple, Ray Aries too. Get them
Yes.
in here. Mimi,
I
hook
can
it
get
up.
them on. I can get them
Yeah.
on.
Let's get him on. Let's get him on for sure.
Yeah.
Because like they're doing really well, right? And their story is kind of like a very interesting one because they're both from abroad.
Yeah.
So super cool. All right. Any questions in the chat? I think chat was dead today.
So with NVIDIA, are you cutting any positions and then buying back in,
I cut.
or
I've been selling after 165. I started selling. I sold at
yeah?
170. I sold at 175. I sold at 180. I sold at 185. I've sold, but I've sold around 30% of my position, right?
Mm.
Because it's grown so much. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
grown so much. So it's like I've sold a little bit and to a point where I'm comfortable with. And obviously, like I wish I had held it until 180, but I mean 180, I do feel that it's a little bit frothy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like PE ratio is sitting at 60. Um, Forward PE is sitting at 30 something, right? I'm kind of worried. Not like the thing is like the story has not changed. That doesn't mean that
Mm,
I don't have to like protect the money that I've made on the company. That's it. It's like, but like, am I trimming? Like, I'm looking for opportunities. I think it's very tradable right now. You know,
mm,
if the stock dumps because of whatever rumor or whatever, I don't really care, right? Like, I think the story remains. I think they're going to continue to sell chips. I think they're going to be the central part of the infrastructure. I think Kuda's going to defend everything. They're going to buy $60 billion worth of stock back. You know what I mean? It's like there is positive momentum for the stock. It's just, is it
yeah,
priced in already? Is the question, right? And
yeah.
for a
I
little
mean,
while, I think it will be.
if it dumps at any point for any reason, I'm buying more.
Correct.
Not immediately, but I'm buying more because I do believe in the company. I do have NVIDIA. I started trimming a while ago, maybe a month ago or a few weeks ago, I can't remember. But whatever I have now, I'm holding, and then I'm going to buy more.
Yeah.
That's where I am with NVIDIA.
160, 170, we probably won't see those levels, but if we do, I think there's a buy opportunities, right? And the thing is like I was telling you guys with terms of the margin, like I know of some people that have margin on this stock like there's no tomorrow,
Mm,
right? So it's like I know that the market is complacent right now on Nvidia's performance, and they're not paying attention. The thing that we saw last time, it wasn't that Nvidia wasn't like was worth $90. It was that all of the leverage that's incorporated within the stock, because it's been such a massive winner. I mean, we're 35% up in the year. That to the downside can create major issues also, right? So yeah, we see that volatility towards the upside, but that volatility is also a falling knife when the price starts to come down, and the people that buy the stock and don't really know what they're holding end up making the price of the stock go overvalued, right? Because there's a lot of people
yeah,
paying attention to Nvidia. Nvidia used to be like a hidden story a couple of years ago, right? Like nobody was paying attention, and then all of a sudden the stock did 15%, and everybody was like, "What is happening here?" And then you pay attention, you realize what the earnings revenue, like the increase in revenue is, and then you start going from there, right? But I just think that every single person that you talk about Nvidia knows what it is. So
yeah.
who's buying this, right? Who's buying this right now? There's no value there. Timothy, you're muted.
I got one more question about NVIDIA.
Okay, okay.
Um, because they announced a 60 billion buyback on shares.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion? Because if you're thinking the stock is way too high, isn't that a bad plan if they buy back shares at
No,
such overvalued
no.
prices?
I think it's a use of money, right? Like if they could give you a dividend, right? But they're just buying it back, so you don't have to sell the capital gains. It gives you a little bit more flexibility. Like I'm not a full proponent of dividends. You know what I mean? Like I just think a dividend is a one-to-one return on the dollar of the stock, or potentially could be, right? Because they're giving you a dollar, so the price of the price of the company should drop by a dollar. But then it's like I like buybacks, like the possibility of them buying at whatever price it is, and obviously like they're not just going to buy it at this levels. They're going to be buying as time goes by. Gives you a little, like it gives you almost like a floor, right? Where it's like they can choose whenever they buy, and they're gonna, because they're gonna distribute this throughout the year, right? So it means they're making money, right? And they already have the plan, like they already have their 10-year plan, and they're just making so much cash right now. The question is like, do we start seeing Nvidia having to cut margins because the people or the people that are buying want cheaper prices, or the American government wanting more of the total revenue of chips, like the H20 chips, you know? So what are we going to see with that, right? So I like the buyback doesn't worry me. I mean, like buybacks are always good. In my opinion, it's a way to increase the value of your portfolio without having to capitalize or having to pay taxes in America or in your own country. So it's a good way to do it. Like it's the incentive, right? The incentives are there for the stock buyback, even though it's cash, right? Like could they do something better with the money? I'm sure, but the question is like, do they want to create so much supply that they end up hurting their own bottom line? I think not. I think they're
Mm,
trying to protect their margins at 75%, right? So
hmm.
tricky. I'm okay with the 60 billion. You know what I mean? Like the companies where like it's, if you think about it, it's not that much, right? Because it's $4.5 trillion company sitting up today.
It's one quarter of profit.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah. You know what I mean? Like coming in next quarter, they're gonna be making 53 billion of revenue. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like I think they're sitting on 20 billion of cash right now. So it's like they're gonna be making, like they're making, like it's net profit, like 75% gross margins. Is insane. And at the levels that Nvidia is sitting at, obviously like the Nvidia story, The problem with NVIDIA story is any effect to revenues affects directly the bottom line, because if they don't continue to grow those revenues, the gross margin doesn't mean anything, right? And the question is how much is it going to cost them to actually increase? But I think they said in the call that it was like 75% by the end of the year, like mid 70s. So it's like, it's nuts. It's pretty much like a printing machine. It's crazy because they are in a position, but we are gonna see that distribution. We're gonna see that sort of like de-risking from NVIDIA, and there's gonna be opportunities to buy again. Don't get me wrong. I have my long-term positions that I don't touch, and I have my short-term positions which I'm trying to like. Okay, I'm in, I'm out. What am I like? For example, during the 90s, I bought into my short-term positions, and I bought leverage. And I bought like I wish I had bought some call options. You know what I mean? But I wasn't fully. But a call option right now, I think it was somewhere in the I think it was somewhere in the like a $500 position. It's worth 5K right now. So it's a 10x. You know what I mean? So if you get an opportunity like that because of tariffs or because Trump decides to do something crazy that doesn't affect the supply chain or the business of NVIDIA, keep a close eye on companies like that. You know? Yeah. It's my, yeah. This is for the viewers because I know you guys do this. You know what I mean? I know you guys do this. But yeah.
I always like to compare NVIDIA with Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, that's another
NVIDIA,
monster. That's another
yeah,
monster.
and here is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can be volatile as well. By the way, this is from 2020, so yeah,
So the
still a
line is
lot of
Bitcoin.
yeah.
Okay.
You have to outperform Bitcoin. It's up 2,800 in 5 years percent.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, we have some. Oh, we have some comments. We have some
Yeah.
comments. I just didn't
So,
read the chat.
so on for Timothy.
So we have. Okay, let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Questions about Pengu, but we answer that. Good. Yeah. Oh, Antonio. Antonio has this question. Antonio's a friend of mine. He's asking about the Blackwell. Like Jensen is trying to sell Blackwell to China, and he was saying that if there were no restrictions, Nvidia's revenue this year could have been 50 billions higher than what it's going to be what it's going to end up being. So if Blackwell is allowed, I think they're trying to go for a B30 chip, which would be a Blackwell, and I think they're talking about 80% performance based on that. So it'll be the last generation of chips. It'll be interesting what China could bring to the table here. Very, very interesting. You know,
Jensen was saying that in the future, maybe the US will remove the restrictions. So he's always talking bullish.
well, if he can
like.
make money, if he's like, okay, give me 10% of revenues, and he's just like, okay, I'll take a hit on my margins, but at least I'm able to sell to China directly. I was looking, so I saw, okay, there's a video on the black market of chips in China. It's 40% markup of any chip. So there is room for growth. There's room for growth, right? So I think it's like the 4090s are selling around 20 to 30%, and the 5090s are selling 40 to 50% higher. So there's a markup on the chips if you're able to get them to China. And the problem you only have is with the rest of the world. Like as long as you're in China, nobody's going to prosecute you for having NVIDIA chips. So that tells you something. That tells you that there's room to increase prices in China and have the Chinese pay for it. This would be the first thing that Trump has said that other people are going to pay, that it might be true. If they start selling chips to China and it's like the Chinese are going to pay for AI development in America, maybe. It's the only time that I believed him. It's not, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they're able to take my revenue away. You know what I mean? But hey, it's better than zero. So yeah. And I think that's it. Timothy, prediction for the crypto blow off top.
If there's gonna be like a blow off top, we have to check the charts.
As in like price target or?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my price and timing targets.
You heard it here first. That market buy.
Timing is hard, Timothy. Timing.
I'm gonna buy options. If you give me time, I buy options.
Timing is a very difficult one.
It's a cruel mistress.
So as we are talking about the 30-week cycle for Bitcoin, we know it's gonna end somewhere in November. So here is where you can guess the next low will be somewhere in November. And then it's again 30 weeks. So the low of the next 30-week cycle will be in June 26. But yeah, where will the top be and how high will it be? So it can be a left translated 30-week cycle, which means the top is usually much higher, but then the declining phase is much steeper. Or it can be a right translated cycle, which is more sustainable, and then yeah, have less decline in the end of the 30-week cycle. So I'm guessing at least, yeah, for this cycle, it might be the end for the four-year cycle. So a bigger move at the end of the 30-week cycle, somewhere in the left part of the 30-week cycle, should put Bitcoin at highs somewhere at yeah, January 26 at 200K.
Oh
That's
my
where I
God,
would put,
Timothy.
put my blow off top. That's my very optimistic scenario.
It is very optimistic.
My
I
my
mean, yeah,
neutral scenario is still 150, 160.
yeah, I agree. At this point, time-wise, I mean, I really don't know anymore, and I've stopped talking about timeframes because everything's just taking so much longer this year. But in terms of price targets, it has always been around the 150 for me since the very beginning. Um, I'm open to the fact that it could go higher, but I would be very, very careful when we approach that level. 200 would be amazing. We'd all love that, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yo, any thoughts about Meta? The
Less
chat's
than a
pumping.
double.
Huh?
It's less than a double.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean Bitcoin? You're
Get
talking
to
about Bitcoin
200.
still.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
To
okay,
get
good.
to $200, 200K, it's less than a double.
100%
Right.
returns, you know? Bitcoin, that's a
Yeah.
Tuesday. All right, yo, any thoughts on Meta right now?
Meta.
No.
I like what they're
Yeah, I,
working
I
on. I
increased
like the
my
glasses.
my fair value, so it's undervalued right now.
Yeah, I'm buying more. I'm looking for the next opportunity to invest more.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think we're gonna get the opportunities. I mean, just because like even if we see like year to date performance, let me have a look at year to date performance. It's like Nvidia sitting at 35 and it has had a crazy move, and Meta sitting at 27, so it's done really well too. You know, but it could continue to do well. I think I've seen that stock. I remember when that stock was like I think $100, and then it was like no, it's gonna end. They changed something or something happened, and it was like oh, it just continues to like rep, right? So yeah, they're spending a lot of money in AI because they're hoping to get there first. It's gonna be
They
interesting.
have a 10 billion cloud deal with Google. Did you see that?
Repeat.
No.
You went down in volume.
They have a 10 billion Google cloud deal,
I know. I know.
boosting the AI infrastructure.
I know. And I think Google also has a potential of getting Gemini into Apple phones.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility too, you know. It's interesting. It's interesting. The thing is Google plays all of the things that like people think Google is search only, but they don't realize that they've invested in other businesses and they have that ramp up already. That's the reason I like Google. It's the fact that every when you ask Google, it's like, oh, like I'm scared of search. And I'm like, cool, right? Like search is one part of sure, it's the biggest revenue right now, but they have so many other businesses that they could potentially monetize. I love Google. I love Google. 9% return on Google this year is a crime. A crime. But we'll see. But yes. Even Netflix is up 37%. And I don't like Netflix, you know?
I don't get Netflix. Like it can be disrupted so fast, but it's a
Yeah.
brand. It's a monopoly due to its name and stickiness. But I don't have a Netflix
Yeah.
account.
I don't think people realize how easy it is to kind of like pirate Netflix. Like I don't think people understand like you're a couple of dollars away from me pirating the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like you get too funny, Netflix. Like there's a website right next like there's a link on my desktop that can destroy your business model. But
Yeah.
people don't realize that. You know what I mean? They went into the Spotify model, which is like I'm willing to pay $10 a month for music. But we saw the
Yeah.
damages that piracy had. And I think that Netflix suffers from the same problems too.
I mean, like the moment they become complacent, that's really over. But Timothy's right. There's a brand there. It's look. I have almost everything. I have Prime. I have Apple TV. I have Netflix. I have like just name it all. And I always go back to Netflix. I still go back to Netflix and watch
Okay.
something there. Yeah,
I
it's my
have a website.
mindset.
I have a website. I don't have any of them. I don't have any of them. I have a website that I'm not allowed to say in public, but I have a website.
No, I don't.
You know.
You do TV casting and Chromecast.
Oh man. But okay. Anything else we want to talk about before we go? Oh, I heard something interesting, and this is just a rumor that I'm just gonna leave you with. So because of the what's it called, the stable coin revolution that's happening in the States,
Hmm.
Tom Lee said something that I just hadn't heard from anybody so far, and is the idea that the financial companies in America could start trading for tech PE ratios because of what you're going to be able to do with the stable coins in the future, which is like potentially buy your house with a contract within those stable coins that they're using in JP Morgan XYZ. So all of a sudden, it's like you could see JP Morgan with AI reducing their workforce drastically and becoming a tech valuation, which I think right now in terms of PE, let me have a look real quick. JP Morgan is sitting at 15 PE ratio right now. Like imagine JP Morgan at a 50, growing revenues in such a way. So stable coin revolution, pay attention to financials, which when the technology becomes good enough, they're gonna invest. They're definitely investing right now, I can guarantee it. Little rumor.
Interesting.
I
Little
love
rumor.
JP
Okay.
Morgan and Bank of America. They love those two.
Bank of America is like a slow monster. Like I hate. Like I'm taking a bunch of money out of Bank of America because like they give you like 1%. It's like the best thing they
Mm.
have is you don't have to pay wire transfer fees, $5 every time you transfer money, and it's like yeah, who cares, right? Like interest. Like I put it in the treasury and I get paid more, and I have more safety too. So Bank of America, not so much. JP Morgan, I like because they're innovating. They're innovating. Like Bank of America has to put a fire under their eyes, in all honesty. So it'll be interesting.
Mm.
But yes, rumor. I hold both. By the
Okay.
way, I own Bank of America and JP Morgan. Do know that. I do on
Do
all
you
of them.
hold Do you hold Ethereum?
Do
Correct.
you have
Because of
enough
you.
XRP? You don't have enough XRP. I don't have enough
I know.
XRP.
XRP, you know what I want to do with XRP? Like the ETF got denied, no?
Did it?
I'm not
I
sure.
haven't.
I've heard
I
No,
mean,
something.
there's so
no.
many
There
ETFs.
was a struggle. There was some kind of ETF got denied, but there's other things
There's
going
access.
on. The
Yeah.
lawsuit was over, and yeah, it's correct. The ETF got slowed down, but not denied. I,
Yeah,
I I wrote a news piece about it. Yeah.
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 By the way,
Which
we
is
have
no
18 people.
surprise.
Whoop. Sorry,
No, you
Mimi.
go. No, no,
By the
no.
way, we have 18 people in the chats. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you check out our portfolios whenever I put the links below. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, just have to share. You know what I mean? I mean, people are chatting, which is nice. Which is nice. But yeah,
Yeah, but we don't have the links in the description.
I know. I know. It's the process. The problem is Riverside. Like Riverside is like, oh, welcome to our stream. You know what I mean? It's like I swear, like they need to give me custom ability for the streams. Like I'm used to having it, but because we have 3 different cameras and 3 different audios and 3 different things, Riverside is good. All right, I think that's it.
Can I wait? Can I show you
Yeah,
my
yeah. Go, go,
risk
go.
metric that I've built? People gonna love that.
Oh, by the way,
So
Yes.
make sure if you're looking to learn altcoins to join Timothy's free course down in the links below. That is not in the links below, but it will be by the time it gets posted.
It will be. It will be.
so I've been in a group selected by Etoro to create apps, and I've been building my own risk metric for crypto. Um, so still a lot of bugs, but you can just select your crypto, let's say Bitcoin, and it will tell you the risk it has. So if you want to DCA Bitcoin, you better DCA it at low risk. If you want to sell your Bitcoin, better sell it at high risk. So right now it's sitting at 0.57. So you can see it's showing 300K as the highest risk. I'm not saying it's gonna get there, but that's just a way to know like when do you buy, when do you sell. Same for XRP. Um, it's going a bit wrong here because risk at the highest level is $3. So need to remake this, but it's in the works, and kind of cool that we can do this with Etoro. Just one thing I'm building here. I've had other stuff building, but I wanted to show you the risk metric also for the S&P, showing you highest risk and then lowest risk.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. Nice.
Awesome.
Someone just asked XRP or Link. Of course, my answer is going to be XRP.
XRP.
I love Chainlink. I really do love. I think Chainlink will do very well, but XRP all the way. I think the returns, though, for Link is probably a bit better than XRP for this cycle. But yeah,
Yeah. Link
XRP,
was a lagger,
yeah, it was a
and
lagger, and
now
it
now
had
it has been going up.
the SEC was on top of them for the longest time, you know.
mm-hmm.
So now that's sort of gone. Well, are they still in the middle of the lawsuit?
It's done.
Yeah, it's done, right?
Completely. Yeah.
So then, whenever we see potentially like strength, it's gonna go to XRP as well. All right, I think we're good. Anything else you guys want to
Yes.
say? Mimi, what are you working on?
That's up. Crypto. I mean, I'm going to buy more. I'm going to buy a lot more altcoins. A little bit opposite to Timothy. Timothy's become a bit of a Bitcoin maxi. I don't know why I'm laughing, but
Me and my Bitcoin head for a month.
you know, Cardano, AVAX, Link.
No,
What else is there? FET. I mean, I can Pengu. Not financial advice, but I'll be buying a lot more XRP. A lot more XRP.
we don't have enough XRP. All right, thanks
Don't
so
have
much for
enough
watching, everybody. Peace.
Thank you.